Ki11ng of jogger carried out by jacked up white guys, not suspect letter. Defense attorneys for AU facing the rest of his life behind bars for allegedly strangling a woman to death as she was jogging nearby her house. You are expected to file a motion on Monday to request to investigate allegations from an anonymous letter that suggests details about other possible suspects were withheld. On Thursday evening, after the attorneys in the murder trial of suspect Chanel Lewis both rested their cases, defense lawyers Julia Burke and Robert Mueller returned to their office and found a plain envelope with no return address, said a spokesman from the Legal Aid Society. The envelope contained an anonymous letter from an alleged law enforcement source alerting defense attorneys to alleged exculpatory evidence that the author said had been withheld from the defense. Defense attorneys said that the 3-page typed letter pointed attorneys to several meetings among investigators during the first 2 weeks of the probe, during which, according to unknown author of the letter NYPD Deputy Chief Michael Kemper stated, the letter suggests that investigators were initially looking for one or more white assailants. Lewis, as we received troubling and reliable information indicating that the police withheld critical Brady information about other potential suspects, which was never turned over to the defense, Tina Luongo, a legal aid attorney representing Lewis, wrote in a statement released on Friday. Luongo was making reference to what's known as the Brady Rule that requires prosecutors to turn over any and all potentially exculpatory evidence about the defendant in a criminal case based on a 1963 case known as Brady v. Maryland. Moreover, we learned that the police approached our Mr. Lewis to obtain a DNA swab as part of a race-biased dragnet, which involved the swabbing of over 360 African American men in Howard Beach and other neighboring sections of Brooklyn and Queens. SE1000 and
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.